Zemzamar! Hernak! Otemba! Zemzamar! Hernak! Otemba! Zemzamar! Hernak! Otemba! Zemzamar! Zemzamar! Hernak! Otemba! Zemzamar! Duh.
For Tukohama. There's a whole load of baubles ready to be looted. Yes, yes. The perfect excuse to see Danik.
Eh? Who's that? Hail! Business, business. I'll put the word out.
Hello. Till next time, shall we keep, Saviour?
I am explicitly lifting up other creators. I don't want to push them down, and I don't want to support people who are pushing other creators down. So, speaking of pushing someone down, this guy had a bad take. No, I'm just kidding. So last week we watched Scorpius's video, which was so well made, in which he said that PoE2's has a quitting players problem, essentially saying that it has a retention problem, and he gave a whole bunch of solutions as to how to fix the retention problem. Now, I did not agree with the solutions. They were essentially kind of like MMO-ish elements, adding kind of like holiday events into the game, boosting other league mechanics during certain points, dropping like new mechanics during the league itself, like saving updates from the big launch to a month after launch. Didn't agree with that. He actually responded, and he was very kind to the react and everything. And I think we're going to have a podcast in 0.5. We'll chat about it a little bit more. He actually had a really good argument as to why it should be added. Like, oh, PoE2 is meant to be a different game. It's not meant to be a classic ARPG, which, ooh, that's appealing to what I was just talking about, wasn't it, you guys?
What is your
Anyway, he also got a lot of critique in the comments because people were like, this isn't a big problem. You know what the actual big problems are? Here are 5 of them. So he made a response video, and he's outlining the 5 biggest problems in PoE2. Now,
your wish has been granted.
I think we're gonna do a little bit of a reaction to it and see if we agree. 5 biggest problems with PoE2. If we were to name our 5 biggest problems, let's have some fun. Let's see if our list matches. Okay? Okay, client.text. Client.text. Oh, that's secret. You can't see that. You can't see that. Okay. All right. Our 5 biggest problems. Okay, sorry, not ours. Chat, I'm sorry. I'm not going to take your advice. I'm going to put mine down. I'm not going to read chat. Let's see if you guys agree with me. 5 biggest problems in PoE2. Wow, that's tiny. All right, here we go. My number 1 biggest problem, optimization, performance, crashing. That's my number 1. My number 2 biggest problem, visual clarity. I guess we can, we're not going to even talk about the OG vision, okay? Because that's not fair. That's not fair. I'm not going to, just going to say visual clarity. And this is starting, I'd say, in interludes about. I think in interludes, that's when visual clarity starts to get bad. Oh, I really want to look at chat, but I'm not going to look at chat. I think the 3rd biggest problem is too swingy due to most power being in gear and not in passive tree / ascendancies. Ascendancies. Okay? Number 4, I would say the end game progression, end game as a whole with Infinite Atlas. I'm just not a fan of the Infinite Atlas right now. I think it is messy. I think it's clunky. I think it's an illusion of choice, essentially. And the 5th biggest problem in all of PoE 2. Let's see. Let's see, guys. Oh, what makes the list for me? I'm really racking my brains here. I have 2 brains. That's right. I actually have 2 brains, you guys. Yeah, brains plural. What could it be? What could it be? I'm really trying to narrow things. Here we go. You guys ready for this? A lot of you are gonna disagree with me. But I think this is it. I'm writing it down. Let's see if anybody said anything. All right. No, I'm not gonna put my rating from the vision because I don't even want to touch the vision. Lack of player feedback upon doing something wrong. I'm gonna put it in parentheses. Okay. So dying. Well, original temple UI and the like. Okay. So I think the biggest thing here is like not having a death recap in the game. It's very hard for a player to improve their character, I'd say, without going online and using resources a lot of the time, especially once you're in endgame. More information needs to be in the game, and you need to get that feedback in the game, and the game needs to explain things to you better. So lack of, how about this, explanation in game. There you go. I think that's better. I think that's better. I think that's better. Boom. That's my top 5. Let's see. Let's see, guys. Players. Players is the biggest problem in PoE 2. What? Monster pushiness? 2 brain cells. Ha ha ha. Nice. I mean, all men have 2 brains. Nice one. Nice one. Migrating from the vision. No, I don't want to put that in. You don't think build variety is top 5? I don't think build variety is ever really going to be solved, brother. I think that mob density is visual clarity. I don't think build variety will ever really be solved, dude. Build variety in a game like Path of Exile 2, where everybody is going to bubble to the best set of builds, is tough, and it's especially tough right now because there is not all the classes, not all the weapons in the game. So maybe we can analyze that a little bit better once PoE 2 is fully released. But that's my top 5 list. That's my top 5 list. All right. Scorpius, the biggest 5 problems PoE 2 players are facing. Let's hear it, brother.
A lot of you actually watched my previous video about players quitting the game and overall retention in PoE 2. Yep. That video ended up getting over 1,000 comments, and honestly, there were some really strong points raised. A lot of you shared your personal...
Wait. What was that? No rest for the wicked is what I thought PoE 2 would be. Now, I never thought that. I've been accused of that, but I never thought that. But I can see how some people might think that.
And honestly, there were some really strong points raised. A lot of you shared your personal reasons for quitting the game or burning out. Some of you added angles I hadn't even considered, and some of you gave some pretty amazing solutions. And yeah, some of you were just negative and toxic, either to me, the video, or other people, without actually adding any value at all, which is also part of it, so well done. You got some attention too. I read every single...
I don't engage with them, bro. I've committed this sin so many times. I know that it's good for engagement, but unless you're doing this full time and I guess he's pumping out content from the toxicity, but if you're not doing this full time, I would not engage with the toxicity. I wouldn't. Let's see. Nobody playing dead game. It's not MMORPG.
Any value at all, which is also part of it. So
okay,
well done. You got some attention too. I read every single comment, the short ones, the long essays, the ones agreeing, the ones completely disagreeing. And after going through everything, I put together the 5 most common problems you guys brought up. So let's start with the people who disagree.
Okay, I'm sorry, Scorpius. I did this last video too. Guys, look at the gameplay.
Problems you guys brought up. So
look at the performance. Look at,
there weren't a lot.
I bet Scorpius has a good computer too. Okay, so top 5, how did he sort this? Did he like use some sort of sorting algorithm? I want to see how he sorted this.
But almost everyone who disagreed did so for the same reason. You said things like, retention doesn't matter. ARPGs are seasonal. You're supposed to quit after a month. This is how these games have always worked. And I completely understand that perspective. That's how ARPGs have functioned for years. PoE.
Okay, he's talking to me. He's talking to me right now. Now, I would say that they've functioned since about 2018, 2019 like this because GGG perfected it. Beforehand, ARPGs, I don't think were seasonal, and they didn't really like embody this sort of return to play thing until PoE mastered it because they wanted to monetize everything with supporter packs and people returning every 4 months, 3 months.
One, Diablo, and so many others. You go hard for a few weeks, you finish your goals, and then you move on. Next league, next reset, next grind. There's nothing wrong with that. Diversifying your games is actually pretty healthy. And yes, GG has even said that in the past.
Okay, so a little behind the scenes. I told him to watch this video when he linked it to me, and I'm glad he watched it. And he's including it in this video. Amazing video.
Chris Wilson, for example, mentioned this back in 2019, that retention inside a league isn't their primary concern. The revenue spikes at league launch. True. That's when supporter packs actually sell. That's when
true. He's totally right. D2 had a ladder. D2 had a season for decades. Okay. You're right. All right. Okay.
When the hype happens. So from a pure business perspective and standpoint, I completely understand that model. But here's where I slightly disagree. I don't think the majority of PoE2 players are traditional ARPG veterans anymore. PoE2 brought a massive wave of players from other genres, especially MMOs. And those players don't approach the game the same way that you are. They're not programmed to zoom as fast as possible, grind like there's a deadline, burn through everything in 3 weeks. They're used to long-term progression.
All right. He's speaking directly to me with what just happened with PoE1. But long-term progression and I mean, unless GGG wants to lean into that, but the long-term progression and the seasonal mechanic or the seasonal model doesn't really work because in an MMO, you're playing your same character over and over and they keep raising the power level and you got to grind new stuff. Or if you're playing Guild Wars 2, grind new cosmetics, but literally the entire game design for PoE2 and PoE1, what we see is it's designed with that in mind. Like they'd have to fundamentally change their entire way of developing and designing the game, in my view, to address what he's really thinking about, you know? And I do think that these games can engage you for the whole season, especially if you don't play, 12 hours on launch day, another 12 hours on launch weekend, and then 2 hours a day every day after that for 2 weeks, right? If you're only playing an hour one day, 2 hours a week and a half later, stuff like you're going to play the whole season. There's more than enough content. I think just a lot of the ARPG vets are conditioned like that, but also the game is designed with that in mind. You guys agree? It's almost as if I made a similar point earlier, how this game brought in many new players that wouldn't have ever tried it otherwise, cough, cough. Yeah, it brought so many new players. I had so many of my friends who refused to play PoE1 try Path of Exile 2, and many of them love it. They absolutely love it. Like they are in. They're in for the zoom. They are. But also, if players are constantly playing this game and they keep resetting their characters, I feel like that'll burn players out. That's just my opinion. Let's see what Scorpius says here. Let's see if he continues elaborating on this. We're not getting into the problems. He's kind of responding to the last video. I did not think he was going to respond as much to the last video as he is. Let's see what else he dives into.
Going systems, updates layered over time. And yes, GG might not prioritize retention inside a single game when they have both PoE1 and PoE2. Their ideal cycle seems to be 2 months of PoE2, 2 months of PoE1. If done perfectly, you never have time to look at Diablo, Last Epoch, or anything else. And honestly, that's pretty smart. If you're someone who plays both games and cycles through their leagues, you're effectively retained. throughout the whole year. You're buying supporter packs every couple of months. From a monetization perspective, that's incredibly efficient. And to be honest, from GG's perspective, that's definitely caring about retention. But what about the players who don't care about PoE1? Why shouldn't they have something meaningful happening in PoE2 every 2 months? Why not?
Okay, but can't. I'm gonna go back to what I said in my prior
Your
react.
wish has been granted.
I think that this is a. I'm sorry, Scorp bro. I think this is a fake problem. I don't think this problem exists. I don't. Because if you stop having fun in a game due to the way the game is developed, due to the way that the developers have, mastered this development. Hey, let's not look at the past year and a half though. But the way that they developed the game, then stop, don't play and then come back.
Must you constantly
I don't.
interfere?
I just feel like it's a. I don't know what the issue is with like people dropping off and not being constantly engaged. It feels a lot like there's another great video from Chris Wilson. I think it's called Dark Patterns in Games. This reminds me so much of that. And this is why I stopped playing Guild Wars 2 and other MMOs. Because it was like, I know he's not exactly saying this, but there were dailies in Guild Wars 2 and monthlies. And I for a long time, I felt pressured to log in and do the dailies or work toward the monthly, or that I was like missing out on progress and I was missing out on this. And I realized I wasn't having fun. I was doing it because I felt compelled to, because it was my favorite game and the developers were putting this system in the game that if I engaged with, I got rewarded and the whole side. It's kind of like with mobile games where you have like the daily sign. My wife plays some mobile games where you have like the daily sign in. And you get a bonus if you sign in every day, and you get a streak if you continue signing in day after day. Once again, I know I'm not being exactly like fair to what, because Scorpius is not saying this exactly, but that's the feeling it's evoking in me. It's saying we want players to have a reason to log in midway through a league, not like we just want to keep them in the game, as opposed to, okay, we release a giga patch every 4 months, everybody comes in, plays together. And people fall off because they stop having fun with the Giga Patch. They move on to new things. That's fine. Some people continue playing because they really like the game. They're in love with the game. And to get those players back who left to go play other games because they weren't satisfied with the content that we added 2 months ago, we're going to do another mid-season content drop to pull players back. I don't know. I get what he's saying. I get what he wants. I just don't agree with it. That's it.
Give them mid-league updates? Why not attach MTX drops or supporter packs to those updates? Why not try to retain the players who might otherwise leave for games like World
What did he just say? No, what did he just say? 1 second. I need to go back.
Players who don't care about PoE1. Why shouldn't they have something meaningful happening in PoE2 every 2 months? Why not give them mid-league updates? Why not attach MTX drops or supporter packs to those updates? Why not try to retain...
Brother, now you're just asking GGG to do 2 month updates to PoE2. No, guy. Oh, no, let them cook. No. You know how hard it is already for grinding your games to put out a well-polished update every 4 months for PoE2? Now add a mid-season update in between that isn't a full update, but a partial update that then they're going to attach. No.
I cannot do this
So
yet.
hard. They all... Ready for some glazing? Here's some talkative try glazing. I have worked for a company in the past that struggled to put out updates to a website every 6 months. And there were massive bugs with it. And it failed. And customers ran into issues. And we had massive downtime. Every 6 months, mind you. Okay? GGG have a whole content pipeline. They have press events. They have all this coding, all these interacting systems, and they get updates out every 4 months for PoE2. Yes, there are issues. Yes, there are bugs. But what they do is, I almost dropped it, is honestly unbelievable. It is. Every single time I may be friends with a couple GGG devs on LinkedIn. All the game devs are like, we don't know how you do this. Like, praise. This is crazy that you guys put out all this content and it's such high quality. Everybody always makes the joke of literally as much content as a Diablo 4 sold expansion in a PoE2 league or a PoE1 league. And you know what? It's kind of true. I do not like, now that he said it like that, now I'm firmly anti. I am anti. okay? No. I'm no. Nope. Okay, let's continue.
The players who might otherwise leave for games like World of Warcraft or something completely different. If someone cycles both games, they'll still finish PoE 2 content before jumping to PoE 1. If someone only plays PoE 2, they simply stay engaged longer. For me, that sounds like a win-win situation. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about that one in the comments down below. Now,
Lose situation. I'm getting him on the podcast. Scorp is coming on the podcast. We're going to talk about this, and we're not going to yell at each other. We're going to be very respectful. I hope that I'm being respectful with my reacts because I appreciate the way he structures his content. I think it's great. I love that he's making videos that aren't just build guides or currency guides, that he's giving commentary on the game and talking with the community. I really like that. Let's go. Okay, I think we're getting into the 5 biggest problems that PoE 2 is facing.
before we get into the top 5, there were a lot of smaller feedback points sprinkled in the comments. Things like build diversity, not enough classes, death recap, of course.
Yay! Hey, that was number 5 for me, brother. Also, smaller. Holy crap, are these problems going to be giga or what? Did I miss some stuff?
Multiplayer issues, and a bunch of other pointers. But the most frequent, small, but consistent complaint, and easily what I would rank number 6 overall, was all about the XP penalty on death. Firstly, I gotta say, the XP penalty in PoE 2 isn't unique to this game. Dying with a penalty has long been part of ARPG design to keep progression from feeling trivial. The way I see their philosophy is that death should have consequences. If you could die with 0 cost, players would treat death as nothing. Then risk and challenge disappears. If XP always just flows forward and death didn't affect it, then everyone just brute forces everything with no meaningful tension. It's meant to preserve tension and reward good play. From a high-level game design perspective, the penalty exists because level 100 is supposed to be harder than just grinding maps. Death is intended to be meaningful, and progression should feel like an accomplishment. Even though I understand the frustration, especially if you are playing casually, the intent isn't to gatekeep or punish for punishment's sake. The intent is to preserve tension, encourage build optimization, and make progression feel earned instead of automatic. Maybe it's
I think elitist take, I'm sorry, but I don't think XP on death is the issue. I think XP on death is good. Okay, it doesn't happen in pinnacle bosses. You can get omens of amelioration to almost trivialize it. I think that there are other problems that happen on death. I'm surprised that maybe they'll be mentioned later, but just the fact that suppose you die on a boss fight, your entire map goes empty. That kind of sucks. If you die on a map and you only have the one, no portals remaining, you can't use any tablets on it, and it's basically a blank waystone. The fact that you only get 1 portal here, I think you should get 2 portals because, you know, shit happens. So I think there are a lot of other punishments on death. The one that I think should stay is XP loss because of basically what he said. It creates the tension. It creates, you know, it incentivizes you to build your character well so you survive. And if you want to push to those, honestly, past level 95, you got to have a good build. I like that. So yeah. So hopefully they don't remember. Nope, I won't say that.
Solution would be to increase the minimum level when XP penalty starts. Instead of, let's say, at 70 or 80, they could change it to 90, and that way the majority of the...
No, well, this is missing the problem. The problem is not level 90. The problem is like level 94, 95, maybe it starts at like level 93. That's when this actually becomes kind of like a real tension. Before that, okay, let me know in the comments, am I cooked? I think this is only a problem when you're like mid-90s. I don't think the progression from 70 to 90 is an issue at all. It's very little XP. So just Maybe I'm blasting a little bit, but I don't think it's much of an issue. You can recover stuff very easily.
Casuals might not even experience it, or they could change the 10% hit to 5% hit and keep the level a little bit lower. Let me know what you guys think about this one as well. Now, moving on to our top 5. Number 5 isn't philosophical at all, it's actually technical. A lot of you brought up performance issues as your reason to quit the game. Although this is early access, bugs and instability are expected to some degree. Even though there is definitely still room for improvement, they have shown major progress recently with FPS drops, pausing the game when you get a crash so you don't lose the progress, fixed bugs, and much more. But I definitely agree that there are some bugs, server issues, and quality of life changes that they definitely need to work on to improve performance. Moving on to number 4.
Okay.
Hell.
Crashing is the entire performance. It's really bad, guys. I'm sorry, but here we go. Somebody say I'm getting my ExileCon ticket revoked. I hope not. I hope not, guys. I've always been like this. Performance is abysmal. It's abysmal. My computer roars when I play PoE 2. It doesn't roar when I play No Rest of the Wicked, Last Epoch, or even PoE 1. It roars when I play PoE 2. And the crashing, the grinding gears, guys. Oh, it is genius. He did mention it's so you don't lose your progress, but still, the game has become less stable from 0.1 to 0.4. And here's the other thing, guys. I don't think there's going to be major performance changes in 0.5. Because usually, when they make substantial changes to the engine to performance, that comes out quite a bit before the patch, maybe even right around now. Like they did this in PoE 1 for a long time. I think they did it in PoE 2 when the renderer changed. I don't think coming in 0.5. So we're going to continue to experience this. And then we, of course, have the elephant of the room, which are the server instabilities, which are DDoS attacks, which PoE and PoE 2 experienced the craziest DDoS attacks I've ever seen. Very unfortunate on their part. So, thank you guys all for the kind words. You guys are very kind. Thank you. Okay. All right, let's move on. Oh my gosh. What? Number 4 is crafting. All right, let me hear what he says here. I might disagree. Let's see.
Was crafting. And this one was pretty loud. A lot of you...
Wait. No, that's not true. Try performance improvements were a big part of the 0.4 live stream announcement. A-tab. FPS improvements. The game is far less stable. I didn't mention that FPS was worse. The frame rate is better. A lot of it, I think, also has to do with the lesser density, even though I didn't notice it that much. But I'm mostly talking about the stability. So A-tab, FPS did get better, but everything else is less stable. Okay, back to crafting. Here we go.
Moving on to number 4 was crafting. And this one was pretty loud. A lot of you said crafting doesn't feel like crafting. It feels like gambling. Like throwing currency into a slot machine and hoping something sticks. I'm going to assume that the majority of players who said that specific thing are now catching up with what crafting is in this game, because that's what crafting has been since 0.1 and 0.2. The only time it was different was when we had homogenizing orb, and to be completely honest, Abyss crafting is still insanely good. However, in the comments there were 2 core complaints around crafting. A, half of you said it's too hard, and B,
it's too hard, it's non-existent. Okay, wait, I'll wait to respond.
B, half of you said that it's not empowering or non-existent, which is a perfect example of the community splitting into different player categories. For anyone who finds crafting too hard, I would definitely suggest either watching video guides that explain it in detail or try playing SSF. So yeah, crafting is definitely complicated, especially if you don't have much experience with it or you didn't even put any effort to learn more about it. And trying to keep up with the gear that you need for the campaign or endgame or economy while not knowing anything about it is definitely worse. Now, regarding everything else about crafting, I do agree that we still don't have the full picture of what crafting should look like in PoE 2, and we have a lot of room for improvements. However, it will never be fully deterministic. The
Okay, I don't think he's going to go into it, so I'm going to quickly give my take. I think one of the big problems with crafting in PoE 2 is that so many people refuse to engage with it because it's more profitable to just sell the crafting materials if you get them. You look at the bones, you look at the good omens, always better to sell because to actually craft and, you know, I won't say deterministically, but have a really good chance of getting a good item, you need a lot of these materials. Like, and people who think I don't know how to play PoE2 are probably like, oh, you know, okay, so maybe he knows a little bit. But you need a crap ton of this stuff. And everybody's just, they're going to see, oh, I got an Omen of Light. All this means that I can go in and I can get the good abyssal craft. I can remove that. I can remove that modifier that I didn't like, and I can go for another hit of the dopamine and try to get the good abyssal mod. And then you go to the currency exchange and you see that it sells for, when I got it, it was like 23 divines. And your net worth is 2 divines. And you're like, oh, I guess I could just like maybe sell it. And then I could press backslash and just like buy an entire new set of gear instead of engaging with the crafting system. Right. So that is a tough balance because you got access to trade. A lot of people aren't going to play SSF, and you know, unless they want to pour a lot more time into the game, they're not going to engage with SSF. They're just going to sell stuff. They're just going to sell the crafting materials that they get. So that's the tough thing. Now, my brother, for example, he brings up the point, just make them more common. Just make the crafting materials more common. For example, Omen of Whittling, right? Just make that more common. Now, GGG have already made that, what is it? Like 3x more common, and it's still giga rare. What is that going to do? I'm not an economist. I don't exactly know. But I do know I think that's the core of the problem. People don't know how to craft or think crafting is non-existent because they just sell the materials instead of engaging with the system because it's way easier. Crafting is actually pretty simple in PoE 2. I'm not going to lie. Way simpler than in PoE 1. I think a lot of it, the only thing that I wish was in game was like a better way to see what crafted modifiers you could get as an outcome. For example, the Abyssal Lich modifiers. That'd be cool. I'd love that in game GGG, like an encyclopedia, like No Rest for the Wicked have. Would love that. But I don't think it's that complicated beyond that. So it just requires a lot of currency. It's gambling. And a lot of people don't want to engage with it because you're better off just selling it. So, okay. Let's see. Maybe he'll go into that, but it didn't sound like he was going to address that point.
Ore was great fun for sure, but it harmed the economy as everyone could just get themselves the best gear they could, so nothing was really selling in the market. And B, it makes dropped loot completely pointless. But having said that, crafting is still too random and far from perfect, but if you know enough about crafting, you can definitely go through the entire game in SSF without any issues or without the need of trading with others. Now, if the problem is keeping up.
Okay, somebody just said that built not bought 69. I do agree with you. The problem is we need middle ground crafting. 95% of players can't engage with the current system because it's geared toward mirror crafting, and like all the prices kind of like balloon up toward that. I added that, not you, built not bought, but I think that's kind of what you're saying. Yes, I agree.
With the economy, then that's a completely different issue. And that specific issue is the third most frequent complaint that you guys had. The economy, inflation, temple farming,
Fubgun mentioned.
Divine values, overpriced omens, RMTing, crafting being too expensive, feeling forced into trade. But what stood out to me wasn't just inflation. It was how many of you said progression feels tied to the market instead of the gameplay. Now here,
yeah, I think that's kind of based. I think I agree with that.
Here's the uncomfortable truth, guys. ARPG economies naturally inflate. Even if GG
Yeah, but that doesn't need to be every RP. No, I'm just kidding.
banned every single RM tier tomorrow, guess what? Inflation would still exist. Even if they removed every exploit in the game, which I don't know if they're going to be able to.
Okay, is RMT an actual issue? I see a lot of people say RMT is an issue. I don't believe it.
Do that in the future, inflation would still exist because min-maxers will always find the most efficient farming strategies and dominate the market. That's just how competitive economies work. Could they improve the drop rates? Maybe. Could they adjust omen availability or crafting accessibility? Possibly, yeah. But if better gear drops more often, crafting loses value. If crafting becomes stronger, the market shifts around it. If everything becomes easier to obtain, something else becomes scarce. There's no perfect solution solution, and realistically, the economy will probably always be one of the top complaints in a game like this. The only real way to completely avoid any drama or anything to do with it is simply playing SSF.
Ooh, to go play SSF. Dang. RMT is crazy. I get RMT ads on almost every PoE2 video. That's crazy. I was going to say, I've never seen RMT ads, but I have YouTube Premium. For YouTube guys, it's because I make YouTube videos. That's why I have YouTube Premium.
Players who actually try SSF never look back. Number 2 is campaign.
Some people look back because it requires a lot more time in. I think it requires just a lot more time in, and it's a lot more luck-based SSF. It's never going to happen. Ever. But if grinding your games added an SSF mode where you could not transfer from solo self-found to trade with something similar to Last Epoch's Circle of Fortune, where you could kind of cater your drops, you could progress some sort of skill tree to cater the drops you got in the world and target farm certain things, I don't think I would look back. But the way that it's currently designed, I just feel like SSF for a lot of people probably requires too high a time investment given the sheer randomness and PoE of drops and the like. In trade, just it makes it a lot easier, and it makes the game more fun in a lot of ways too. For all the problems we talk about trade having, I do think currently it makes the game more fun. And yeah, by the way, guys, that idea I just said, grind your games will probably never do that. You know how Chris would never do async trade? Well, Jonathan will never do the pseudo SSF mode that I just said. So they see SSF as a self-imposed challenge. I think that's the exact words that they've used, like every single. Yep, see someone in the chat. Self-imposed challenge. Yep. If I can ever restrain myself and say, you know what, just invest more time into this particular league, have a good time, play SSF, do it. Like I always do it as far as I can in the end game. I usually make it to, T15 maps. Not this league, because I was very unlucky. I had to use trade in T5 Waystones. I'm talking about the PoE2 league. But most of the time I try to push myself going in SSF because it is a lot more fun. The moment you start engaging with trade, it does trivialize a lot of the progression in the game. And you can self-impose the challenge. Oh, I see Seth Jones right here. I recognize that name. Okay. Campaign fatigue is the number 2 issue. Let's hear what he has to say, but everybody knows what I think about campaign fatigue.
Fatigue. This one showed up way more than I actually expected. A lot of you said that the campaign feels like a slog, especially when you have to repeat it on every character. Some of you said it's too long, some said it's too punishing, and most of you just said you're tired of doing it over and over and over and over and over again. And I understand that, especially as someone who actually likes testing multiple builds in a single league and you don't have unlimited time to play. Repeating the campaign can absolutely feel like friction. I was actually very vocal myself about wanting a skip button back in point 1 and point 2, but over time, I've slightly changed my mind. At least partially. PoE2's slower pace makes the campaign more immersive, and it gives you a much better understanding of your build as it develops. You go through that experimentation phase, you feel your power spikes, you adjust things as you go. There's something very valuable about that process. However, if you're copying a finished endgame build and just want to hit maps and start zooming immediately, then you probably won't agree with me on this. But I don't think PoE2 is designed to be played purely as a rush to endgame simulator. A lot of you actually suggested solutions such as full campaign skip once you've completed at least once in each league. Others suggested unlocking a skip at a certain level, like level 95, or tying into a boss. From a player perspective, those ideas make sense. But from GG's philosophy and the identity they're building around PoE2, I don't think a full skip is very likely, to be honest. What I would personally prefer are smaller quality of life improvements. Things like faster routing once areas are cleared, optional RP skips between bosses and quest givers, or better shortcuts that respect your time without removing the campaign entirely. That way the campaign keeps its identity, but it doesn't feel like unnecessary repetition. And the number one problem that you guys were...
Okay, before I see it, I just talked about campaign skip to death on the Path to Exile podcast, so I don't want to go into it again. But my take is I don't believe there should be a campaign skip option. I would be for an alternative leveling option, such as a set of like 10 interludes if you don't want to listen to all the dialogue or click through all the dialogue, or if you wanted something to change up. I think that'd be really cool. And GGG said the interludes didn't require a lot of time to make. But I think it would be cool if they had like 20 interludes that, you know, imagine 2 years down the line, guys, 20 interludes in the game, and you could choose 10 of them instead of the 6-act campaign. I think that would be really cool. But I do think that the campaign is like it's like a trial. It's like rite of passage from beginning to end. And I think it's important to the character's progression. And this is just my personal take. I get a lot of people disagree that, you know, they don't want to waste time in it, but I don't see it as wasting time. If you see the campaign as wasting time, then I mean, is the end game wasting time as well? Like you're doing repetitious things in the end game. Ultimately, you just be skipping the campaign, which you say you don't want to do over and over again, to get to the end game, in which you're doing stuff over and over again in an end game, you know, which you'd be doing over and over again, right? Miso brought up an amazing take that I had never even considered before. He said people don't like the campaign because you're not amassing wealth. You're not growing your character's power overall above other people. This is just the route you take to start getting stronger than other people. I think that is such a fascinating take, and I bet that's right. I totally understand that, and that gets back to the whole div per hour discussion we had earlier on the live stream. And you know, I understand it, but that's just not personally me. So I think that makes sense though. Let me read a couple of you guys in the stream right now. Okay, actually, people like to choose your own adventure. I really think that'd be a cool idea. Imagine 20 distinctly designed interludes using all different assets from across the game. I think it would be kind of sick. So it's like 10 interludes that you get to choose instead of the 6-act repetitious campaign. So you could do them in any order, right? You could just pick and choose maybe some of your favorite. It would probably be a little imbalanced, but hey, you know, and it would unlock after you beat the campaign the first time. That's my vision. That's what I think would be cool. I'm not a fan of a big campaign skip button. I'm not a fan of level boosts in other games either. That's kind of what a campaign skip button seems like it would be. And I personally wouldn't want an infinite delve in the game. I feel like a lot of people would feel compelled to do that because it's probably like the easier way to get through stuff and everything. But let me know in the comments if you disagree or agree. Okay, Lego. The biggest problem, guys.
Vocal about by a significant margin was
Endgame. Well, I have a good announcement to make, people. Guess what 0.5 is bringing in? Man, these people just didn't have fun at Endgame. Okay, here we go.
Endgame depth. Don't think anyone is going to be surprised by this one. The most common phrases from you guys were, "There's nothing to do. Maps feel repetitive. Same."
Can we go back? Do you guys want to go back a second? Okay, remember? You guys remember? Remember? The campaign is repetitive. Second biggest complaint, campaign is repetitive. One second. Here we go. Let's remember the discussion we just had, everybody. One moment.
Was endgame depth. Don't think anyone is going to be surprised by this one. The most common phrases from you guys were, "There's nothing to do. Maps feel repetitive. Same bosses. No meaningful chase. Hit a wall around tier 10, tier 15. And this specific thing ties directly back to my original video. When progression slows down and the variety doesn't expand with it, players feel finished.
But the thing is, yeah. Oh, guys. Okay. All right. I don't know what he's going to say, but the game is 1 year old. Okay. It's not going to have crazy content depth. And guess what? An ARPG at its essence is kind of a repetitive sort of game. It is repetitive. All games are repetitive if you play them over and over again. This thing of like not wanting to repeat things and getting burnt out, that might just mean that you don't want to play this type of game right now, because you're never going to have an infinitely dynamic game. If someone can name me an infinitely dynamic game in which the end game is never repetitive or the campaign is never repetitive, it just sounds like maybe these are all the MMO players. It's all the MMO players coming in and they're like, well, the end game is repetitive. Now, I'm not saying that the end game isn't bad. could use a lot more depth. I feel like the progression through the end game is just not good, and it can use a lot more content, right? But I feel like the people that might be typing these comments just have played a lot of this game, and it's repetitive because, drum roll, they've repeated it a lot. Path of Exile isn't repetitive. Okay, you got me. I think a lot of people do agree with you there. That might be the only end game that people a lot of the time don't repeat that. Feel like it's repetitive. You can understand visually repetitive maps or bosses. 100%. Yeah, like it can use more content, and I feel like it's going to get more content. And good thing, guys. End game overhaul is incoming. Hopefully, they can add that dynamicism to the game with 0.5.
Even if technically they aren't. It's not that there's zero content, it's that the content doesn't evolve enough the deeper you go. And when players feel like they've seen everything meaningful after 3 weeks or a month, that's when retention naturally drops. Now, the good news about all of this is that 0.5 is supposed to be a massive endgame overhaul. Atlas changes, mapping changes, system updates, potentially addressing a lot of these concerns. But we also have to be realistic. Not everything will be perfect. No matter what GGG does, not everyone is gonna be happy. Even if the majority of players agree on one thing, everyone experiences the game differently. At the end of the day, we all paid the same $30 knowing that this was early access. We signed up.
Cheap game, stop bitching. That's a Dota 2 meme. That's a free game. Stop bitching. I felt like I had to say it. Yeah. Better Atlas tree would help a lot. Need nodes that feel impactful. True. Every Atlas tree needs to feel like the Abyss tree. Okay, Scorpius, keep going, Bo.
For an evolving game. We can either choose to play it, enjoy it, and provide constructive feedback to help shape it, or step away if we're not having fun right
Exactly, we don't need to be retained. Thank you, Scorpius, I totally agree.
now. But one thing most of us can agree on is that PoE 2's early access already feels more complete than many ARPGs that are already launched as full releases.
Name them, Scorpius. I want to hear their names, okay? Do it.
And personally, those $30 have already been more than worth it. So thanks to all.
I mean, he is 100% right. The $30 are definitely worth it. Easily worth it. The campaign is worth the price of admission. 100%. Problem is, Scorpius, I didn't pay $30. I paid $480 for this game, and I don't even have 480 hours in it yet. So I currently spent more than $1 an hour. I'm only at 410 hours. No, I played an hour last night. 411 hours. So I'm gonna need to make it a little bit more worth it.
The thoughtful comments, the disagreements, the long breakdowns, and the counter arguments. That kind of engagement is what actually improves games. Constructive criticism is valuable. Debate is valuable. Even disagreement is also valuable. What isn't valuable, though, is blind negativity, toxicity, or attacking other players for how they choose to play the game.
Uh-oh, he's acknowledging the haters. Bro, I've done this so many times, and I feel like every single time it was a mistake. I don't think it's I don't think it's the right path. I understand why you feel the need to, but it's bad for your mental.
Don't have anything valuable to share, simply don't share it. At the end of the day, we're all here because we care about PoE 2. If we didn't, we wouldn't.
True. Everybody in the chat right now cares about PoE 2 except Pow Pow Pow. He's only here for me to play No Rest for the Wicked. It's true.
Be talking or arguing about it in comment sections. So whether you agreed with me or not, thank you very much for being part of the conversation. Let's see what 0.5 is actually going to bring. Thanks again. See you on the next one. Peace.
Oh, that was a good video. That was a good video. I disagreed with a lot of it again, but it was a good video. I like Scorpius's videos. I'll put it into the chat. There you go. Look at that. Thanks, Scorpius, for the lovely video. What, 654 comments? A lot less views, but 654 comments? That's probably a lot of people chatting. Let's see. What's the biggest? Any interesting comments here? I don't see anything too interesting, but yeah, thought it was a good video. My 5 biggest problems, what were they? What did optimization, okay, that was number 5 for him. Visual clarity wasn't even brought up. Too swingy due to power being in gear and not in passive tree ascendancies, wasn't brought up. Endgame progression, endgame as a whole, that was the number 1. But it was more so focused on the content, not on the infinite atlas or the progression. So that's interesting. And then 5, lack of explanation in game. It didn't get a mention. But yeah, good video. Keep them up, Scorpius. I like commentary videos because I don't really watch build guides that much, so keep them coming. I hope everybody here liked it too. Leave a comment on the stream or on the VOD or the video. Do you agree with Scorpius? Agree with me? Agree with the other people? Are we both off base? Let me know. Let's do the react over. That felt dumb. That felt dumb what I just did there.
I mean, I think it all comes down to people like the new shiny toy. It's all modernized, graphics better, everything floats better, it looks better, and you know, I think that's a big portion as why people want to have like PvE2 be the new thing. That's why you see PvE2 having so much more attention as well, casual players for mainly over PvE1. I think the problem is the whole methodical combat, meaningful combat approach, where people don't want to have to do a full set of combination, like a combo attack, just to kill a couple of extra, white monsters, and then with less loot on it. I think loot has been made considerably better as the last couple patches that we've seen in PvE2. It's better, not great, but better. Crafting needs a lot of attention, but ultimately it's the whole balance of clear speed, power creeping. Like, where's the actual balance? Where are the majority of the player base happy? Because we don't want to have to do a whole combo to kill a pack of white monsters.
Oh, here we go. Path of Exile 2 must make a stand. But on what exactly? In this video, I'm going to explain Path of Exile 2's biggest mistake.
break you.
Imitation eggs might be replacing real ones, and this Dunkin' customer caught it on camera, peeling the yolk off like paint.
This reheated puck is made without cracking a single egg. Dunkin's egg is held together with 12 ingredients. It starts as liquefied factory yolks, stretched with soybean oil, then seared at 70 degrees in industrial pipes. That slurry gets drenched in tap water and bulked with the same thickener used in latex paint, then frozen for weeks, shipped and cooked for the third time in a microwave. Subway, Burger King, and Starbucks scanned the same industrial eggs, thickened with a gum linked to gut damage.
Look at this shit. Put a magnet that I got from here into the Great Value Chicken.
Hey, this is a farm boy. I'm in the flower section of the grocery store. I wrote up something, a whole bunch of somethings. When it comes to flour, things are changing in the world. Have you ever heard of cricket flour? There are at least 6 or 7 countries in this companies in this world that's now using crickets, insects, to make flour. According to Dover's, PepsiCo is looking to use cricket proteins in products such as Cheetos and Quaker granola oats. Insect Gourmet says insect-related businesses in the Western world are producing insect proteins for foods, beverages, confectionaries, and other things such as butters, oils, and pestos, as well as spice and seasoning. So it's most likely going to show up, not be labeled, and you're not going to know it, in pretty much everything you eat. It is expected to reach $4.6 billion in sales by 2027 and produce 1.4 million tons of insect protein. ADM, Archer Midland Daniels, is in the process of producing insect foods in Decatur, Illinois right now in partnership with Innova Foods. That's on the ADM website. Exo, which is a company that makes cricket flour, says that crickets are 60% protein. However, Iowa State University etymology department says that crickets are only about 12.9%. And this would explain why the NIH, when they do their comparisons of protein levels in cricket flour, they compare them to plants, not animals. Cleveland Clinic said that about 30% of the cricket farms looked at have parasites that carry disease to humans, and that edible insects are as underestimated reserve of human and animal parasites. Yep, Cleveland Clinic said that they are an underestimated reservoir of parasites to humans and animals. According to the NIH, it is stated that they claim that the exoskeletons, or the chitin, is a digestible fiber, but they don't know how it digests. I found that more than just a little curious. And then turn around and say that if you consume chitin, well, it'll trigger immune responses in the body. According to Science Direct, this cricket flour has all the markings for high levels of detectable arsenic. The NIH says that novel foods such as crickets show presence of arsenic, aluminum, cadmium, chromium, and mercury in all those edible insects. This is a farm boy. That's what's going to be in our food supply soon. You need to get used to it.
So they say there's a beef shortage. So explain this. McDonald's sells about 6 to 7 million burgers every single day in the United States. Burger King sells around 2 million. Wendy's sells around 1 million. That's roughly 15 to 18 million fast food burgers every day during a shortage. Cattle herds are supposedly the lowest they've been since the 1950s. Ranchers are selling off cows. Beef prices keep climbing, but the burger machine never stops. So where is all that meat coming from? Imports? Blended beef? Long-term contracts? Or our 3D printer somewhere just spitting out steaks 24/7? Lab-grown meat, it exists. 3D printed meat also exists. And companies are pouring money into it. I'm not saying that's where or what we're eating. I'm saying the math, it just doesn't sit right. 15 million burgers a day doesn't happen by accident. So what do you think is really going on?
Where are they getting all the beef from? McDonald's is over the entire map of the United States. We consume 158,000 cows per day. 78 million pounds of beef per day. How can we do that? We got 158,000 cows that's slaughtered every single day. We can sustain that. It's not adding up to me. It's not adding up at all. It's not adding up.
Is there anybody else scared to eat? I'm getting scared to eat. If I don't cook it myself, or if I don't know where the food came from, it's like I don't want to go to the supermarket anymore. I only want to go to those like vegetable markets where people bring in their produce and resell what they've grown at home. And I only want to get my meat from somebody who has a beef farm or a chicken farm. It's like I am scared to eat anything at the supermarket anymore. And God forbid, I don't do fast food.
If you want to hear a scary and interesting story, watch this video. My wife and I, we just got back from our trip to Brazil. We were there for 3 weeks, and she's from Brazil originally, so we went to go visit her family. Now, prior to the trip, we cut out eating rice and like potato chips and things like that. We used to eat something crunchy with like every single meal, and we used to eat rice almost every single meal. Cut that out for like 3 months, lost weight, went to Brazil, and once we got to Brazil, we ate so much food all the time. Some of you know, some of you don't. I'm a bariatric patient, so my stomach is not as big as it used to be, and I was still eating so much food all the time. I'm talking chocolates, brownies, rice, beans, and meat every single day, French fries every single day. The traditional Brazilian meal is rice, beans, farofa, French fries, meat, salad, these kinds of things. Vinaigrette, which is like a pico de gallo Brazilian style. picanha every single day, meat, carne every single day. You name it, we ate it. And we were like, oh shit, when we get home, we're gonna step on that scale. It's gonna be a whole different story. And we got home and we stepped on the scale, both of us, and we both lost weight. Now here's the interesting part. We have been back for 3 days. We landed on Wednesday at 7 a.m. The first thing we got, since we'd been gone, our fridge was empty, our house was empty. The first thing we got was breakfast. We just ordered Uber Eats from this diner down the street. Fake eggs, you know, crappy ass hash browns, sausage links, whatever. Just to put food in our stomachs while we were home until we figured out groceries and everything. I got some shredded beef from Trader Joe's, peppers, onions, tomatoes, cooked up some food the last couple of days. Even used some of like the stock freezer food that you can just pop real quickly and easy. There was like raviolis and meatballs from Trader Joe's. 24 hours after we were in LA, we woke up the next day and we had the worst headaches ever for hours. Feeling sluggish, feeling tired. We know jet lag, this was not jet lag. I can't even fathom the fact that I was able to consume as much food and a variety of different foods, from sweets to drinking guarana and Coke Zeros over there to eating as much as we want, just to coming back here for 1 day to the United States and eating the food that we ate, both home cooked and ordered. Amazon. And we both felt as shitty as we felt in 24 hours.
Okay, I just have to talk about this because literally nobody talks about it, but food in America is so bad. Like, genuinely, every time I go on vacation, when I'm supposed to be, like, eating whatever I want, and I do, I end up losing weight. Because the food here is so terrible for us. Not just the fast food, genuinely, like, everything. I don't know, like, what they put in the food, but it's terrible. Like, there's something wrong with American food and as a whole, honestly, but I don't know.
You know what's really interesting is that there are so many countries that don't accept imported American food because of these issues. And it's so funny that we've really come to this in this country. I mean, and you know, I'm grateful for the information, because I grew up, you know, I ate well, you know, in terms of, you know, my mom would cook, you know, a nice meal and everything for dinner and stuff. But we had a lot of things that, you know, people just thought was okay, you know, like a lot of processed foods, processed powders, processed drinks, processed candy, processed, like all kinds of stuff. And these things are, I mean, well, you've seen the videos. So let me know your thoughts down below. I know that we have made a lot of changes to the way we eat, my family and I. You know, not that we don't indulge, you know, at times and don't enjoy things from time to time. I'm not going to say and act as if I'm perfect and I stay away from all of these different items and whatnot, but a lot of food, I mean, it's like it's like when we have it, we don't always have it, you know, and it's for very many reasons. In fact, a lot of different things I've noticed personally when I eat certain foods. You know, I could see the signs of inflammation and lethargy and all of that. I mean, it's evident, you know, look at how you feel after you eat certain things. But anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you are doing well where you are. Stay blessed.
Good evening, I'm Bill Malugin, and this is your Fox News report. Vice President J.D. Vance is heading back to Pakistan for a new round of peace talks this week. President Trump says extending the ongoing ceasefire is, quote, highly unlikely. He's threatening to, quote, knock out all power plants in Iran if there is no deal. Now, on Sunday, the U.S. Navy seized an Iranian-flagged ship for trying to get past the American blockade near the Strait of Hormuz. Tim Cook is stepping down as Apple's CEO after nearly 15 years. John Turnus, the head of hardware engineering, will be the one replacing him. Cook will take on a new role as Apple's executive chairman in September. The Trump administration now accepting claims for tariff refunds. An online portal for businesses to file requests is now live. The White House is expected to pay back a staggering $166 billion after the Supreme Court ruled Trump's emergency tariffs were unconstitutional. The House Oversight Committee is investigating a string of deaths and disappearances involving scientists. At least 11 scientists have been killed or gone missing over the last 3 years. Some are connected to the U.S. nuclear or rocket programs. And take a look at what the wind blew in.
Hi, everybody.
A hot air balloon making an emergency landing in a California backyard Saturday. The homeowners were stunned but welcomed the unexpected visitors. The good news, nobody was hurt and there was no damage. In New York, I'm Bill Malugin. Have a great night.
All right, the UK is building a coalition of more than 40.
How are we supposed to afford life?
Oh my God, how do they afford that? They can't. They can't. It's 2026. No one can afford anything.
When everything increases by 120% in a year, 2-year time period, and your pay doesn't, it doesn't matter how many hours you work, you're going to struggle.
It's like climbing this uphill battle that you'll never win.
I'm literally busting my ass every day for food, water, clothing, and shelter to exist on a planet that I didn't ask to be here.
It has become so expensive to be alive.
Why does it cost so much money to live and breathe? Gas high, food high, rent high, insurance high, every motherfucking thing high, like Snoop Dogg.
And it seems like month after month, week after week, day after day, it just keeps getting more expensive to live.
It feels like we're currently living through the enshittification of everything.
I mean, a guy can't even buy a can of dip for less than $8. $8 for a can of dip? What the fuck?
And before y'all come for me, I don't get my nails done. I have no Botox. I have no filler.
Life's so damn high, you can't even afford to die.
I'm not trying to pay $15 for a cheeseburger. Oh, well, go to the grocery store and make your own meal. The grocery store is just as expensive.
Something is breaking, and people can feel it. Across the United States, millions of people aren't chasing success anymore. They're just trying to make it to the end of the month without falling apart. Rent keeps rising, silently, relentlessly. Groceries double in price, while paychecks stay the same. Basic survival, food, shelter, fuel, is starting to feel like a privilege. And the scariest part, nearly 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, which means one mistake, one emergency, one bad day, and everything can collapse. This isn't just stress anymore, it's pressure, building, every single day. In this video, you're about to hear real voices, people who are exhausted, frustrated, and running out of options. No filters, no sugarcoating, just reality. Stay till the end, because this gets worse than you think. And if you're here watching this, subscribe. Because honestly, I'm just trying to afford something too.
Oh my God, how do they afford that? They can't. They can't. It's 2026. No one can afford anything. We just make decisions and see if we live through them. That's it. That's it.
Do you know what really chaps my ass? Is how expensive fast food is now. I'm not trying to pay $15 for a cheeseburger. Oh, well, go to the grocery store and make your own meal. The grocery store is just expensive.
Why is everything so damn expensive? 4 years ago, my rent was $1,200 a month at a luxury apartment complex. It is now $2,100, not even including utilities. I went to the grocery store yesterday, right, and got 3 bags of chips, some ground turkey, and some vegetables, and it was $67! What? My car insurance from 4 years ago until now, with no tickets, no wrecks, no nothing on my driver's record, has gone from $130 to $240 per month. 3 years ago, my electric bill was averaging $45. Now it's averaging $125. You go and get a tank of gas once a week, and you're dropping $70. I mean, a guy can't even buy a can of dip for less than $8. $8 for a can of dip? What the fuck is going on?
I'm an American. I pay $1,600 for a flat that has no bedroom. That's 2/3 of my income. I'm an American. I work 50 hours a week. I don't have health insurance. I'm an American. I couldn't afford to have a child even if I wanted to. I'm $7,000 in debt. I'm an American. My health is declining because I can't afford Whole Foods because that's too expensive for my life. I am very overqualified for my job, but no one else is hiring. I'm an American. I make my boss hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, while I can barely keep myself alive. I'm an American. I have never been out of the States. I have never been on a vacation. I'm an American. I make $20-some an hour. A livable wage here is like 30-some. Yet I don't qualify for government assistance whatsoever. On the days I don't work, I'm so tired I just sleep all day. I'm an American. My electric bill is so expensive I sit outside in the heat because I can't afford to turn the AC on in the damn house. I'm an American, and I fear I'm just an average American. I'm living the American dream.
Why does it cost so much money to live and breathe? Gas high, food high, rent high, insurance high, every motherfucking thing high, like Snoop Dogg. I was on my way home from work yesterday. I stopped and grabbed some toilet paper because I knew we were out. Get home, unload that stuff, and then the paper towels is missing, so I go to put another roll on. We out of fucking paper towels. Then I go to make some dinner, and we out of fucking paper plates. Go to wash some clothes, we out of motherfucking laundry. Y'all know how much that shit cost? That shit ain't cheap, damn it. That's a whole fucking bill right there, and this broke week. You know what I'm saying? We get paid next week. This ain't the week to be needing shit like that. But everything's so fucking high, you can't even afford that shit no more. I'm out here sparking trying to make $1. So I can spend $1. You go to deposit money in your motherfucking check. I can't deposit money in my account faster than they snatch that shit. I'd be like, here, I need to make a deposit more. I need to make it more. Like, bitch, can I put the money in there first? Damn, let that shit load before y'all just start snatching shit type shit. I just need this to sit in there for just a second. Like, can it sit there for a second before y'all go snatching it? Huh? Damn it.
Does anybody else feel like we've been duped Because I don't remember signing up for any of this shit. I'm literally busting my ass every day for food, water, clothing, and shelter to exist on a planet that I didn't ask to be here. I didn't choose to be born. And who decided that this was the way that things had to be? Because from my understanding, that whole barter system was going pretty well until somebody decided, you know what? That's not working out. We're going to make them pay for the privilege of living. And while we're thinking ahead, let's make them pay for the privilege of dying. If you ever want to understand why I don't believe in God, this is it right here, because I can't believe that an omniscient being is looking down on all of this that he's created, allegedly, and says, you know what? Yep, working out just fine. Let's see how this thing plays out. Bullshit. I call bullshit, because this isn't the way that life should be. I'm sorry. It's just fucking not.
Every time I drop $200-300 on groceries.
At Talkative Try, who wants to engage with monsters? I do. I think we're missing an important middle ground in which you transitioned from needing to engage to blowing stuff up. It is the same as it was in 0.1. It is literally the same. It has been a problem since day one. I think some of us, including myself, have been saying this since day one, and we thought we were going to go in a different direction where it smooths out. In fact, it's gotten worse, in which you get more powerful quicker and everything is less trivialized faster. I guess I should have been beating the drum louder this whole time. I only really realized it until when I went back and I played Path of Exile 1 again for a whole week, got 36 challenges, played No Rest for the Wicked, played Diablo 2, played these other games, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Path of Exile 2 in less than a year basically has the level of power creep that PoE 1 has had across 15. Guys, anybody who's saying that's not the case, come on. That's so true. That is so true. So true. Game is power crept already. I agree with you. You have such cool design for monsters and don't even have time to see them. Why have 500 plus monsters and then not care about what the monsters do? Okay, so has Path of Exile 2 already lost its vision? I think this is a reaction to my video. Path of Exile 2 must make a stand, and it's Miso responding to a part of it. Let's see. This patch 0.3 almost completely killed the more intentional gameplay vision that so many people, including myself, expected from Path of Exile 2. Abyss, super fun, but it forced builds to be able to screen clear and screen clear quickly. Yeah.
Again, I do not think that this is true.
How is this not true, Miso? How is this not true? Come on. Okay, I need to hear what he means by this. Right before we talk to him, remember, we're talking to Miso in 15 minutes. How is this not true?
Jonathan's original vision was that the game was going to be relatively fast. I think there was...
That is true. That is true.
There's no avoiding, and that's what ARPG players do want to do. Even if you stem...
And that is what... Okay, I think that is such a monolithic point of view. That is what ARPG players want to do. I think there's nuance to this conversation. I think there's room for more different types of ARPG in the isometric genre, aside from zoom, zoom, screen clear, blast, blast, very fast in the game. I think that even has room in this game, but there needs to be a progression to that. I feel like there is not a progression. I mean, some people also are advocating for a campaign skip. So you would entirely just skip out that point of progression and just go to blasting immediately.
All the way back to Diablo 2, like the best builds, what builds people wanted to aim for were builds that could clear a lot of mobs at once. Maybe it's not like blow up the entire screen big, but people were chasing for this, like, hey, clearing things as fast as possible has always been the MO for ARPGs.
Okay, did you hear what Miso said there? Did you hear what Miso said? Keyword, chasing.
Entire screen big, but people were chasing for this, like, hey.
Chasing. Not base game. I I agree. Chasing. This should be aspirational. I don't think this should be just a, literally any old build. Essentially, we'll be able to do this. That's kind of how it is in PoE 2. Unless the skill is complete dog, this skill can blow up the screen. It's not a chase. It really isn't. The chase becomes literally being able to like teleport from place to place. Like Temporalis is the real chase in PoE 2. That's the aspirational, right? How many players get it a league? 500, 600, 1,000? Less, maybe? I don't know. That's the aspirational. I think that's... I think the aspirational aspect of the game should be a little bit more than your Temporalises, right?
Clearing things as fast as possible has always been the MO for ARPGs.
But it also doesn't need to always be the MO. My other big thing is PoE 2 was meant to be different. They stated as much. They were going to change the way combat felt. It was supposed to be next gen. I know that he looked up some interviews where Jonathan was like, where a veteran player is like, we'll be able to screen clear and zoom. And Jonathan's like, oh, yeah. You can eventually do it, but it's going to look a little differently, right? And the journey there will be different. The whole problem is it doesn't really look any different, and the journey there isn't really all that different either, in my opinion.
Always been, hey, I want to gear my character. I want to make it strong. I want to make content trivial. I want to be able to farm loot as fast as possible. That is the essence of an ARPG, and I think that any ARPG that steps away from that is kind of stepping away from it being an ARPG in general. Like, I know there's No Rest for the Wicked that people always point out. It's like, hey, here's an ARPG that's like, not really that fast and zoomy.
Okay. This is the fun. When you do this, when you go from one extreme to the other, there's an entire middle ground that you're missing, and that's what I'm fighting for. I do not want Path of Exile 2 to be No Rest for the Wicked. I don't. That does really well having its own distinct vision and standing out in the ARPG genre. And I think he argues that it's not even an ARPG. I would argue that it is. Has random-based loot, okay? Isometric, right? It has all the things that he just described there, except one thing. The zoom. It doesn't necessarily have the zoom.
I played No Rest of the Wicked. I did not like it because I don't think it felt... I would describe it as, because they describe it as an ARPG that is like very Souls-like, right? There's Souls-like combat, Souls-like ARPG. But I would say it's not ARPG enough to be an ARPG, and it's not Souls-like enough to be like a Souls-like. And that...
Okay. So here, it sounds like what I'm hearing is, don't innovate. Don't take risks. Don't try something new. Don't go outside the confines of the game. That's why I think that's one of the big reasons I disagree. I think that they should do that. They should take risks. They should innovate. Obviously, that's what No Rest for the Wicked did. Don't just stay within your genre just because it's safe, and that's because what you want, and because you don't like that.
God, you're annoying.
Hey guys, today we have the return of the most epic series for Path of Exile, the Bad Takes tier list, dude. In here we compile takes, controversial takes, juicy takes that people have said for Path of Exile. They can be from Twitter, from Reddit, from Discord, other videos from other creators, and we assign them a rank in here. You can see the ranks from base, good, mid, bad, and absolute dog shit. The criteria is simple. The take is good, it goes to base. The take sucks, it goes to absolute dog shit. And again, in here we are just talking about the takes. This is not an attack towards the person that said the take of anything. This is just for fun and to talk about the game. So let's get right into it, brother. This is a take that I saw on Twitter. It says, in short, the vast majority would have been fine with PoE 1 with better graphics. Few diehards enjoy PoE 2 for the OG vision, and this is the part that matters. PoE 2's biggest problem is that they made it a separate game in the first place. And you know it. You know that I am going to put this shit into the absolute dog shit category. How the fuck are you going to tell me that the biggest problem with the game, with Path of Exile 2, is that it is separate for Path of Exile 1? I wouldn't even be playing Path of Exile in the first place if it was not a separate game. And I know that this is the case for many people. PoE1 is a game that is infamous for the high barrier of entry for new players. And PoE2 provided an entry point for a lot of players, including myself, that would have never tried Path of Exile in the first place. On top of that, it is obvious that they wanted to pursue different types of mechanics that couldn't be implemented in PoE1 without fundamentally changing PoE1, and they didn't want to break the game for the people that already enjoyed that. The only logical choice was to create an entirely different game, to not break the first one and create the new experience that they wanted to create. You cannot like that experience, like, okay, I don't like the new experience, okay, that is, but it would be worse for you if they change the PoE1 experience. Now, at least, if you don't like PoE2, at least you have PoE1. Imagine if they change the whole thing. And to attack the core problem, having a different game be the same game with better graphics, it just defeats the whole purpose of having a different game, right? At that point, yes, go back to having the same game, but we already discussed that you need the mechanics. So you go into a circular logic if you remain into that. So no, it is not a problem for PoE2 to be a separate game. It is a good choice for it to be a separate game. You can disagree on the choices they have taken in that separate game, but not attack that it is a mistake fundamentally that it is a separate game, because it is not.
It's like Overrealm. Did they steal Overrealm? Jet, is this just Torchlight Infinite Overrealm? Because look, you even have the planar anchor where you go back to it. Dude, they copied TLI.
Q-Dog is always funny, of course, and what he's saying in his voice, I regret to tell you. But I think he's kind of correct. Look at what the Overrealm is in Torchlight. A space accessible by passing through doors. In Netherrealm stages, it inherits the time mark bonuses, Netherrealm resonance bonuses, some probes, compasses, and Netherrealm bonuses from the Netherrealm stage it belongs to. But what does that sound like? Doesn't it sound like a mirage that inherits all the bonuses and mechanics from the map? It is exactly the same thing, man. The thing is that although he's technically correct, the way he's framing it is like, oh, they stole it. But I don't think it is entirely stealing. Like, however, on top of that, although it is not entirely stealing, you can say it is inspiration, you can say it is adaptation. But on top of that, if you want to get into it, every ARPG steals from every other ARPG. In fact, every other ARPG steals from Path of Exile, and GG is not saying shit. They are letting them copy them. Every endgame wants to be like Path of Exile endgame. So, although you are correct, since you framed it as a stealing, I am not going to give it a base for a good. It is a good one because... come on, Mirage is the same thing as the Overrealm. But I don't think it is outright stealing. For the next take, I don't even have an individual take because I have seen this take repeated ad nauseum in every possible place where you can talk about Path of Exile. The forums, Twitter, Reddit, comments on YouTube. And people want a campaign skip. They are tired of running through the campaign. And you know what I say to that? Absolute dog shit take. Campaign skip is dog shit. And thank God GG is not going to implement it. They have said several times they are not going to do the campaign skip, and it makes sense. They have put so much work into the campaign that why give you the choice to skip it? Why do I know that it is dog shit to skip the campaign? Because before playing Path of Exile, I played Diablo 4. In Diablo 4, you can skip the campaign. The campaign is the best part in that fucking game. And they chose to skip it. What happens when you skip the campaign? You get thrown immediately from level 1 into the end game. By the time you actually get your character going for end game, you are already bored of the end game because you've been doing that shit for a long time. And I know what people are going to say. Yes, that happens in D4 because the end game sucks in D4. in a good endgame like Path of Exile, that wouldn't happen. No, brother. It would even happen in Path of Exile. People get burned out of Path of Exile once they get to the endgame and they can do a myriad of strategies. They do the strategy that they wanted to do. They accomplish their goals and they move on. If you accomplish those goals sooner, you move on faster. No, you will get bored. It is not a good idea. Don't do it. Ever. The campaign provides other benefits, like in my opinion, the Path of Exile 2 campaign is very good. It helps you benchmark your character. It allows you to compare your character to other people. It creates races that I know that is not important for the vast majority of people, but the possibility is there for speedrunning or races or whatever. Campaign skip is dog shit. Don't do that. What you could do is campaign acceleration on alts. I would agree with that. Like, alts have all the side quests unlocked, so you have a spirit already and you have your, I don't know, bonuses from health and resistances. Okay, I can take that. Then you can speed run faster the campaign on alts. But an outright campaign skip, nah, fuck that. Even on second characters. And there are people that want it, that you create your character the first time the league and you're already in that game. Yeah, man, sure, brother. That is dog shit. Thank God he is not going to do it. And I don't even understand the perspective of people that want the campaign skip. Like, I don't like saying this, but if you want a campaign skip, the model of the Path of Exile release schedule is not for you, my man, because it revolves entirely about resetting and having to go again. Check this one from the forums. The trials in PoE 2 are the worst. We don't even need to read this. This is the thing. The trials in PoE 2 are the worst. I have thousands of hours in ARPGs, tens of thousands of hours over decades of gaming. Your trials mechanics is the literal worst thing I ever fucking played in my life. I hate them. I hate them so fucking much that I dread interaction with it in PoE 2 every season, every time. It's so fucking unfun. 90% of your player base hates Sanctum and Trials, and for good reason. They are designed to be bullshit. It's not the challenge. It's wild expectations of gear to overcome the absolute dogshit nerf mechanics you're forced to deal with. Especially Chaos. I have never gotten 6 ascendancy points in this early access run. I can't fucking stomach it. I just play half nerf and then quit. I have given GGG over $1,000 over the last 10 years. I've been to ExileCon. I have not given you a dime since you released PoE 2 and made me suffer your fucking awful ascendancy system. And you won't until it's made tolerable. God forbid I hog for fun. I will literally do anything else than fucking Sanctum and Chaos. I fucking hate them. And honestly, fuck you for hiding power behind these mechanics. This is one of the best things I have read in a long time. Not only because it is funny as fuck, but because this is also correct. The trials suck in PoE 2. But I will tell you something, boys, if you watch my channel, you know that I like the Trial of Chaos. So I cannot give it a base because he said especially Chaos. No, brother, I will give you good because Sekemas is the one that sucks. The Trial of the Sekemas is the worst thing that I have played in any game in my fucking life. The Trial of the Sekemas is a torture. You go to Guantanamo Bay and you have prisoners in there playing 48-hour session of non-stop Trial of the Sekemas as a torture device. Fuck the Trial of the Suck my ass. It sucks. And that is why I am giving you at least a good, because you are correct. Also, the whole philosophy, gating ascendancy and power behind these mechanics, you are correct that it shouldn't be like that. These mechanics should be optional, not mandatory. So you are correct in there. But dude, how are you going to say especially Chaos? I understand that some people don't like Chaos and you don't want to ascend to Chaos. But Chaos is kind of a cool mechanic. I am showing my personal bias in here, boys. In fact, I will tell you, if you are one of the people that don't like Chaos and don't like Sekemas, for you this is a base take. For you this is a base take. For me personally, I like Chaos. But he's correct that Sekemas suck, and he's correct that even liking Chaos, power and ascendancy should not be gated behind it. So I will give it a good. I will give it a good because of that, and that is a hilarious post, dude.
You can't design the challenge out of the game and then bolt it back on at the end and call it a feature. The damage numbers are too high because the scarcity is gone. The scarcity is gone because the grind is gone. And the grind is gone because somewhere along the way, someone decided that friction was the enemy. It wasn't. It never was. The friction was the game.
What? What are you saying, brother? There is no scarcity. There is no grind. There is no friction. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? There is all of this in both Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2, dude. This clip is from a video that I reacted to a while ago. It is honestly a good video. Our brother has some other good takes in that video, but this is not one of them. In fact, this is the worst take in the whole fucking video, and it is absolute dog shit. We all know there is absolutely a scarcity in Path of Exile. We all know there is absolutely a grind in Path of Exile. And we know for sure there is intentional friction in Path of Exile. Put any new player in both PoE 1 and PoE 2 with no guides and let them play the game, and you will find real quick that there is a lot of friction and grind in the game. And talking about the scarcity, if there is no scarcity, then why are there expensive items? Tell me, if there was no scarcity, everything would be worth 1 Chaos or 1 Exalted. But that is not the case. There are several items that are very rare and they are very expensive because of that. Even when they are not a unique that is expensive, like, I don't know, like a Temporalis or like a Mage Blood, but it is a rare item that is specific to your build, there may not be a single item posted in the trading, in the synchronous trading that meets the requirements that you need. And you have to craft it yourself to be able to get there to that item. So there is absolutely a scarcity. This is an absolute dogshit take because it is not true. Simple as that. There is a scarcity, there is grind, and there is friction. Maybe if you compare it with older versions of the game, there is there is less of these things. But I didn't play them. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe it is that I am bad at the game. I don't know. But these things are absolutely present in the game today. On top of that, this is assuming those are good things. We are not even going to go into that rabbit hole because that is an entirely different conversation.
What is this? No idea how people are supposed to play your game. My map's getting bricked left and right. I'm not farming. I'm spinning currency at the end of the map and getting kicked out of the encounter. Failing it. God bless you and your Spain servers. At least Bubgun and other streamers are not affected by this. They have personal dedicated servers. Not a single lag or disconnect. Doesn't matter how good your game is, how good your league is, if your servers are garbage dumpster.
Bro, that is mad as fuck. But you know what he also is? He's based. This is the most based take in this whole thing, and you know why? Because I have given this take myself. When people say, what is the number one thing the game needs? Yes, we can discuss philosophy, and yes, I want crafting, I want drops, I want game balance, I want swords. There is a lot of things that you can say about the game itself. But the number one thing that matters the most is performance and server issues, because it doesn't matter how fucking elite and good the game is if you cannot play the fucking game. Imagine you have a game like Sword Art Online where your mind goes inside the thing and everything that is good in the world is inside that game. But you can never play it because you can never connect there. Then why the fuck do I benefit of this dog shit existing? It is of no benefit. This dude is base as fuck. I completely agree, and I know that the whole community agree with him. He has like that comment in there, like implying streamers have like a separate servers for them. We are going to ignore that part because of the hugeness of the important part. And then we have this take right here that was given in my Discord server, and yes, you can also drop your takes in my Discord servers. And he says, Wolves are bad, dragons are amazing. This is an absolute dog shit take. I don't even have to explain myself. Brother, what are we talking about? The Wyvern is one of the worst additions to the game. The Wyvern doesn't make any sense to be in the fucking game. I hate the Wyvern. They made it better by introducing the bad microtransaction. I have the bad microtransaction in case I want to play Wyvern. At least I have the bad, which is a mammal, which is cool, and I don't have to look at the awful dog shit scaly boy that is the Wyvern, right? But the wolf is amazing. It is the best thing that they put into the game. They even put me into the game, which is the white werewolf. They made it justice by being sometimes bipedal, sometimes quadrupedal. They did it justice to the white werewolf. The wolf is just better than the dragon. It is an absolute dog shit take. Just saying the wolf is bad, it is already an absolute dog shit take. And then you compound that the dragon is good, then you are off the rails. I should even create another dumpster absolute dog shit tier before below this one to put this one, because what a dog shit take, man. And there you guys have it. That is the bad takes tier list for this week. The series is back. I will continue doing this series at least bi-weekly. So if you find takes, share them with me. They can be, again, from videos, from posts, from comments. Share the controversial takes with me. They can be good, they can be bad, just that they are spicy takes. And let me know what you think about these takes we have in here. Am I correct? Am I wrong? I know that you guys want the trials in the base category. I know, I am seeing you, brother. But let me know, what did I say correct? What am I wrong? What am I right? Let me know everything in the comments below. I love reading comments even when they don't agree with me. Also, remember to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, all that cool stuff. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. God bless you. And remember, don't be afraid ever, because this is just a ride. This is the duality of the community, by the way. Look at the comments that my chat is giving me. One person says, GG, make it less like POE1. And immediately after, the other guy says, GG, delete POE2. It is not easy to please everybody. That is the duality of the Path of Exile player base. So guys, I have this video here from the awesome try that is called Path of Exile 2 must take a stand. And in the thumbnail it says simply massive mistake. And obviously we have to watch this video. We watch a lot of tries videos. And this caught my attention. What do they have to take a stand on? What is the massive mistake? I have to know.
Oh, here we go. Path of Exile 2 must make a stand. But on what exactly? In this,
that's what I asked.
Video, I'm going to explain Path of Exile 2's biggest mistake, why it's happening, and how I think grinding your games must address it. Remember, this is merely my opinion, my biggest point of feedback for PoE 2, my biggest critique of this early access game. And I am aware many players, if not the majority, disagree with my stance. Please, please, please agree, disagree, critique, whatever in the comments below. But remember, try to listen to the whole video and don't let yourself get rage baited, because I have an opinion that doesn't match your own.
Brother, it is insane. And yes, this is a correct assessment. It is impossible. You don't know this until you make content, by the way, until you create content. But it is insane how people get rage baited by themselves. They rage bait themselves because of not agreeing with some random shit you said, like if you were insulting them personally because you are thinking something different. It is insane, dude. It is insane that I have to, that you have, like try in this case, put a disclaimer at the start of the video to remind people this.
Path of Exile 2 began as what? A huge expansion to Path of Exile 1. This was the OG announcement back in 2019. It was a brand new campaign, a brand new skill gem system, and oh so many more things added to the base game. But that promise was broken in 2021 when they decided internally the game was shaping up to be a whole different experience. Gameplay-wise, systems-wise, they had all these different ideas that would completely change the fundamentals of Path of Exile 1, and they didn't want to change that game. They had perfected that game. People loved that game, and they did not want to mess with this formula that they had masterfully crafted over many years of development.
And it was a correct decision, by the way. We just talked about this in my latest video, my back takes tier list video, where I gave a rating of absolute dog shit to a take that someone gave, saying that the biggest problem with Path of Exile 2 is that it is a separate game for PoE 1. No, that is the best possible decision they could have made because of what Try is explaining in here. They were creating a game that it was so different, and they didn't want to mess with PoE 1 because it was already a successful game that people liked, and they did not want to change it, that they decided to separate the games. Absolutely correct decision. You will say, no, but then why make the game different? Make it the same. Then why the fuck make a different game? At that point, you keep updating the same game. If you are making a different game, it's to make a different game. Like, it is circular logic, right? Let's continue.
So they decided they were going to make a brand new ARPG, split out Path of Exile 2 with many of the learnings of Path of Exile 1, but diverging and evolved in many ways. They were going to truly try to push forward this niche genre. So, in 2023, they announced Path of Exile 2 would be a separate game. This is when all the marketing...
By the way, that will happen 100% in Act 5, guys. This will happen in Act 5, because this is Oriana. We already know that Oriana went to Oriat, and that she's part of that Twilight Order motherfucker, right? They have us prisoner in here. This will happen 100% in Act 5. I promise you. This is an spoiler that he dropped years ago.
This niche genre. So, in 2023, they announced...
That is also true, by the way, what Try is saying. They are trying to create a new installment of what ARPG is. People want the same shit, but Path of Exile 2 is trying to create the new shit. And you have to ruffle some feathers to create the new stuff, right? They are trying to do what Diablo 2 did in its time. Path of Exile 2 is trying to do today.
Path of Exile 2 would be a separate game. This is when all the marketing, all of the vision, the external vision changed when they spoke to players on stage, when they spoke to content creators on streams and in interviews with game journalists. Everything was different. The goal was a more engaging experience, with the possibility of eventually becoming a god walking amongst mere mortals at the end of your character's progression. In simple terms, eventually you'd be able to click once and destroy the entire screen, but the journey to get there would be drastically different compared to Path of Exile 1, and it would look different too.
And they are accomplishing it, by the way. They are accomplishing it. Because you start slow and you finish fast. They are preserving that nature of becoming a god in the end game that people wanted, but at the same time they are giving you a more meaningful campaign that it is not as meaningful as it was, but still it is slower than what you can do in PoE 1, right? So the only thing that needs to happen is smooth the progression, the connection between the campaign and maps, early mapping and all of that, and create a good, nice, smooth curve, and everything will be fine. The problem is the people that want the slow, meaningful combat in the ultra end game. That is not going to happen. That is never going to happen, because the whole purpose of the thing, and I have come to accept it, is that in the ultra end game you are killing hordes of monsters, throwing the skin cleaning shit. That is the point. That is the whole point. But the thing is that to get there, it takes a while during this whole journey, right?
One of the best examples that the developers gave was in Path of Exile 1. At the end of progression, you might be shooting 100 arrows per second, projectiles all over the screen. But in Path of Exile 1, they wanted it to be more readable. They wanted you to see what was happening on the screen. So the strength of those 100 arrows in
which is already a problem. I remember this, by the way. When Jonathan said that they wanted to prioritize visual clarity in the screen, right? That people know what the fuck is going on in the screen. Because you show someone that doesn't play Path of Exile 1, the mapping experience in PoE 1, when you are in the end game, and they don't know what the fuck is going on, and immediately you don't even want to play that game because it is what is going on in here. I don't want to play that dog shit, right? So one of the main targets, one of the main goals of Path of Exile 2 was avoiding that. And I have bad news for you, Jonathan, brother. It is like that. We have some builds are even worse in PoE 2 than in PoE 1 with the visual clarity. So the goal is not being accomplished. The goal is not being accomplished. Maybe you wanted to accomplish it for the campaign, and I have to say that for the campaign it looks way better, but in the end game it is still chaos. I will say Try is completely wrong. There was never this vision that he's talking about. You can see it from how the game was released. Maybe the whole vision when you go full no rest for the wicked, no. But there definitely was a vision of making the game slower than Path of Exile 1. That is absolutely true. But I think that the vision is that middle point that I am talking about, where you start slow and weak and you slowly progress into becoming mighty, right? That is the point. People were thinking that or you go mighty all the way or you go slower the way. So people think that the vision is being slow in the end game, and that is not the vision. The vision is what I am telling you. Being slow at the start and progressing to being fast in the end. I think that is the actual vision. The thing is that GE has never actually said it, but that is how they are treating the game. So that is what it makes me think they want it. But they are also kind of diverging from that because the campaign is also getting faster. What people were saying the campaign is a slog, so they have to respond to the feedback, right? And hey, I don't want that to be the game. I don't want it to be PoE 1.5, but I love PoE 1. PoE 1 is an awesome game. So if it ends up becoming that, it will still probably be the best ARPG ever. So it is like, there is no bad outcome. Even if they don't go the true vision and they don't end up doing PoE 1.5, that is still going the best ARPG ever. So we win either way. There is no lose condition in here. We are just yapping about the game, right?
Path of Exile 1 would be 10 arrows in Path of Exile 2. This same feeling, but it would be viewable. It would be interactable. You'd actually get to see what was going on your screen. Remember, they also talked about the need for no loot filter in Path of Exile 2, and well, spoilers for later in the video, that is not the case at all. Oh no! So we move forward to 2024 in December. The game releases, and the campaign evoked this exact gameplay feeling. Less loot, more engagement.
I loved my first playthrough to the campaign. Well, I still loved it, by the way. I never felt it was a slog in any of my playthroughs. There is only one zone that I hate in the whole game. I have told you that this before. And it is the Matland Waterways. It is a completely unnecessary zone. It is annoying. It is not meaningful in any way. It could be completely cut out of the game and nobody would notice. In fact, people would be happy. Outside from that zone, I like everything. I have never felt the campaign was a slog in any of my playthroughs. And in 0.1, when I played it for the first time, and you have to remember that I was a completely new player for Path of Exile in general, I didn't have a preconception of what the game should be based on PoE 1. I loved it immediately. I fell in love, and look, we are over 1 year later, and I completely shifted my channel to be full focus on Path of Exile. Path of Exile took over my life, dude, because it was awesome. It was awesome, to be honest with you. And it is still awesome. Now I love both PoE 1 and PoE 2. And honestly, GG would have to do something insanely crazy to make me not like Path of Exile 1 and 2.
Engaging combat with regular mobs and bosses, slower progression, but the plan from the developers, from Jonathan Rogers, Mark Roberts, Chris Wilson, and all the rest of them, did not survive contact with, not the enemy, but the players. In Cruel and the Endgame, characters were beyond busted. None of the imported mechanics from Path of Exile 1 represented what PoE 2's gameplay was pitched as. Breach in Path of Exile 2, what? Ritual in Path of Exile 2, what is going on? The pace.
I said this in 0.1. I think that Delirium and Breach as they were presented, moreover in 0.1 than today, were antithetical to what PoE2 is supposed to be. Millions of monsters coming at you at the speed of light. How the fuck am I going to combo these guys, right? So that is also a reason why the game had to be moving towards being faster, to be able to deal with these mechanics.
Of the game was wonky, and players realized that. Players like myself thought changes would occur frequently in early access to address just this, moving the game more in the direction of their new vision for PoE2, not the initial promise of Path of Exile 1 with better graphics and overhauled systems, but Path of Exile 2, a separate game entirely, a new era of ARPGs. So we thought they'd start changing the game in this direction, and they did start changing the game with balance patches very early on in early access, but the community bit back. So they stopped patching characters and non-game breaking stuff mid-league during 0.1. This stopped about 3 weeks into the actual launch. Then 0.2 hit 5 months later, and they massively nerfed player power. They changed a ton with monsters.
I know that 0.2 is infamous. People hate 0.2 because it was a slog. I loved 0.2. Like, yes, there is dog shit in 0.2 like the wisps. But I enjoyed my time playing 0.2. I enjoyed it. I made 4 builds, 4 characters. Imagine that. I liked it a lot, man.
But this was mixed with tons of bugs and remaining imports from Path of Exile 1 that didn't mix with this new vision, like rare monster mods and super fast monsters that did not match the character speed or how some skills comboed together, like maces.
This is one of the dog shit that they should have never added to the game, by the way. I hate that this exists. You can click me and say this is an absolute dog shit take. I don't care. The ROA is a mistake. It is a Trojan horse to sell us microtransactions for the mount. I hate the ROA mount. Fuck this shit.
Kinda ridiculous. The release was negatively received, and there was tremendous pushback from within the community. They responded with a bunch of decreases in the power of monsters and the speed of very specific monsters. They changed their abilities, and there were no real changes to player characters for the rest of 0.2.0. Then 0.3 hit, the rise of the Abyssals, or the Third Edict. This is where I posit they made their biggest mistake since the release of Path of Exile 2.
This is where people are going to disagree with Try, because this is the favorite league for a lot of people. I rated this patch as the greatest patch in Path of Exile 2 so far. Or no, I gave it to 0.4 because it released the wolf, and I love the wolf. But after that, 0.3. People are liking more this direction. And that is the thing that people like Try and me need to understand. I am trying to understand it, by the way, all the time. Although I prefer it how it was more in 0.1, and I prefer more that meme of the slow methodical combat, that is not what the player base wants. We have to understand that people like going fast, exploring the screen. That is what people want. That is what sells. That is what gets players to play the game. That is what you will do at the end, right? We have to come to terms with that reality, papi. Because that is what is going to happen, dude. So trying here is calling it the biggest mistake, but for the vast majority of players, and a lot of even other content creators that enjoy PoE1, they say, no, this is the best thing they have done to the game. They have to continue going down that route, you know?
Well, it was extremely fun to many, including myself. I loved the monk. I loved unarmed play. This patch, 0.3, almost completely killed the more intentional gameplay vision that so many people, including myself, expected from Path of Exile 2. Abyss, super fun, but it forced builds to be able to screen clear and screen clear quickly, to not be slow as you would die to rare Abyss monster modifiers like Shroud Walker, and you'd be overcome by hundreds of monsters surrounding you on some of these Abyss.
All my homies hate Shroud Walker, by the way. And Abyss is another mechanic that, hey, I like Abyss a lot. I like the mechanic. It is a W. But it is another mechanic that it is like Breach and Delirium, where you have thousands of monsters coming at you and they jump at you. Like, you cannot be slow and make combos fighting against these guys. You are dead if you do that.
Maps. This is when Path of Exile 2 truly became Path of Exile 1.5. And this was their biggest mistake. We saw the same in 0.4 with the going core of Abyss and the Fate of the Val League mechanic. The full...
But by the way, GG already accomplished what the combo-oriented gameplay should be. And that is why I told you that the Wolf is the best thing ever. And if you have not played the Wolf, play it and you will realize it. If you hate combo-oriented gameplay because it is slow or whatever, or it takes a while to set up, you have not played the Wolf. Play the Wolf and you will realize that it is entirely possible to do a smooth combo gameplay that can engage with this content. Because the Wolf is fast. So you go in with a jump, you hit, then you go out with another jump. You have like a rotation. You can do a lot of things. It is smooth. You are not being clunky while doing it. And since you are moving, the mobs don't swarm you. So it feels good to engage with combo gameplay, fast and smooth with those mechanics. But so far, the only thing that I have played that does that is the Wolf. But what I am giving it to you as an example that it is possible to do it. Because sometimes we might think, no, this gameplay is not possible. This gameplay that GGG wants to accomplish of an engaging combo-oriented gameplay is not compatible with a lot of mobs that are fast. But the Wolf did it, so it is possible. Do more shit like that. Do more shit like the Wolf because it is possible. Point 3 was based. That is what a lot of people think, including myself. But I like all the patches. That is a problem, that I am not like a good source. Because you ask me, yes, you like 0.1? Yes. You like 0.2? Yes. You like 0.3? Yes. You like 0.4? Yes. And I will probably like 0.5. So, like, I like all of them, so I can rank them. I can rank them which one I like more. But to me, all of them are a W. As a base.
Embrace of the screen messiness of cast on crit and cast on ailment builds and the fixation on div per hour strategies. This is the cream of the crop of Path of Exile 1. This is what that game does so well, and people love it for it. And some players expected something different coming to Path of Exile 2. Now, don't get me wrong, all these subsequent patches after the launch of Early Access made great changes from the very player feedback that I may be admonishing a bit here and developer iteration on that feedback. The gem system updates, the introduction of sprint, making ascendancies more exciting, changing up unique items, iteration on the endgame, and more. However, the fundamental radical shift in gameplay of the campaign into endgame has not truly changed. In fact, the campaign has been made easier due to power creep in players, nerfs to monsters and bosses, and players just becoming more accustomed to the game. So, why is Path of Exile 2 heading in this direction? The dizzying amalgamation of...
Look at that shit, brother. This is crazier than PoE 1. True or not true?
Of monsters, skill effects, and ground degens to avoid that requires a build that can kill everything on the screen in one hit. How is this happening so fast? Well, I think it's for a multitude of reasons. I'm gonna lay...
And by the way, this was always going to happen, but that word that he just used is very important. He's saying it is happening too fast. Because as far as I know, from what people have told me about Path of Exile's past, Path of Exile 1 also used to be slow at the start, and it progressively got faster and faster and faster. And this is natural. This is something that happens in almost any game because of something called power creep. Even if you don't try to do it by just introducing new stuff, you will start increasing the power of the game. So slowly throughout the years, Path of Exile got faster and faster and faster and faster. We knew this would probably happen to Path of Exile 2, but it is happening fast. And that is what he's saying in here, right?
Lay them out all right here. First, they knew what they were doing with Path of Exile 1. They've perfected it. This is what they're comfortable with. And when you experience tremendous pushback on something, you're going to go to what you're comfortable with. Second, it's very hard to combine what they've perfected with PoE 1 with the style of gameplay and progression they pitched for Path of Exile 2 once they split it out from Path of Exile 1. Third, vocal portions of their veteran audience do not want something very different from Path of Exile 1. They are fine with Path of Exile 1.5 occurring in PoE 2 if the game is going to be split out from the predecessor.
They want PoE 1 with better graphics. That is what they want. And by the way, I think they will get it eventually because GG has said that once they have all the microtransactions from PoE 1 in PoE 2, they can just backport all the assets from PoE 2 to PoE 1 and basically you will have the improved graphics.
Grinding Gear Games is listening primarily to their negative feedback about the game, not the positive feedback of the people who enjoy the slower paced, less zoom, more focused on monsters pace of the campaign and would like to see it replicated in the end game with the eventual opportunity to become a god. Fourth, even if PoE 2 becomes a better looking, better onboarding version of PoE 1, it's still a new game and they have the chance to hook many new players who refused to try Path of Exile 1 in the past. Path of Exile 1.5 might be the safer option for them. Personally, I've introduced many people to Path of Exile 2 who refuse to play PoE 1, and they love the current gameplay style. They love the zoom. They would love Path of Exile 1, but they refuse to try it for various reasons, including the lack of WASD, the fact that it's an older game, the fact that there's so much to learn and they've missed out on so much. But I just know that they would.
I always tell the WASD people that yes, Path of Exile 2 feels very good with WASD. But trust me, you spend 1 hour playing with point to click and you already get it. Like, you are, I am just saying it is not an excuse. You get used to it in 1 hour. Like, you are making a mountain out of a molehill. That is what I am saying.
Love it because they love all of the Path of Exile 1 DNA in Path of Exile 2 that wasn't necessarily supposed to exist there. Fifth, finally, and perhaps the biggest reason of all, since Path of Exile 2 was a sequel to Path of Exile 1, it inherited many of the systems from its predecessor. Well, in fact, it wasn't even a sequel, it was the same game at one point. And these systems, these gameplay mechanics, they don't fundamentally mesh well with the type of game they pitched with Path of Exile 2. Okay, and it's not the game that many people envisioned either. And remember, this game that people are yearning for, including myself, what I'd like to see happen in the future, it somewhat exists in the campaign today, and it very much existed in Path of Exile 2's closed beta and in version 0.1. Just briefly, some examples of what doesn't mesh well with that vision. Breach as implemented, Ritual as implemented, Expedition as implemented, Abyss as implemented, the entire loot system. Remember, we weren't supposed to have a loot filter at all in Path of Exile 2. It was not supposed to be a necessity to hide loot, merely
that is a dream, brother. Not needing a filter in Path of Exile. That is never going to happen. Never going to happen. Talking about all of this, I am thinking like there is a very famous meme in the gaming community as a whole related to WoW, World of Warcraft, and it was in the meme is that you think you do but you don't, right? Which is when someone suggested to the president or to the game designer, the lead in WoW, they suggested, hey, can you give me WoW like it was in vanilla? At that point, it was not even called WoW Classic. And he said, no, we are not thinking about that. And you don't want it either. You think you do, but you don't. Why am I bringing this up? What if this slow methodical combat that Try and I are looking for is not the best for the game? But what people pushing for the faster thing, that is what is best for the game. Do you know? Do you understand what I am trying to say? It is entirely possible that the game is taking this direction because it is what is best for the game. And we think we do, but we don't want the slower thing. To be honest, I think that I would be fine with either, because I enjoy No Rest for the Wicked, that is the ultra slow thing. I have enjoyed every patch of Path of Exile 2, and I enjoy Path of Exile 1. So at this point, I will eat whatever they put in the plate, right? So at the end of the day, it will be the same thing. But I think I would prefer the slower thing, but there is no guarantee of that because I don't have a one-to-one to compare. Maybe I would internally, not consciously, but subconsciously enjoy more the direction the game is taking. But we will never be able to compare it one-to-one, right?
What is it?
Maybe I am going too deep into the hypothesis and the hypotheticals in here.
Highlight loot. That's not the case at all. That did not survive contact with the player base. What else doesn't mesh well? The scaling of player skills like project.
It is even getting pixelated because the PC cannot handle this shit. The game compiler cannot handle the bit rate, right?
Dials, have you seen any end game build in Path of Exile 2? The screen vomit is just as great as Path of Exile 1 end game build. The sheer density of monsters and still how fast.
We also have to talk about the fucking temple and the currency. I know that players love the currency and they were low in the divines per hour. Oh, I am doing 377 divines per hour, and they are happy and coming and having orgasms because of that. But let me tell you something. When you adjust your fucking filter to hide exalts, there is something wrong in the fucking game, man. We should be picking up exalts. In my opinion, I don't know. Maybe I am wrong.
They move all the rare monster modifiers that are impossible and completely destroy some gameplay types and some skills that GGG specifically designed with this OG vision of Path of Exile 2 in mind. The rare monster mods just destroy them. You can't play those skills because of these mods. I'm looking at you, Shroud Walker. And there are many other examples. Maybe you can think of one. Leave it in the comments.
There is something personal between Shroud Walker and Try. Maybe Shroud Walker completely destroyed Try's 0.3 wrong. I don't know, but there is something personal in there, brother.
It's below. So I've outlined what I see as Path of Exile 2's biggest mistake, why I think it's happening. Now, I don't just want to come here and drop that. How do I think grinding your games should proceed? Me, a silly YouTuber who enjoys their game and I make videos on it. What is my opinion? This is it. Grinding your games, be explicit about the current vision for the game.
I think this is a good idea that in the next big interview for 0.5 with CGD, they just say, hey guys, you are curious about what is the vision? This is the vision. By the way, I think the answer is what I said earlier. You start slow, you struggle through the campaign, you finish up being a dude that clears the entire screen with one button and goes at the speed of light. You just go into that transition, right? I think that is a vision, but maybe it is not. But I think that all points in the graph so far are pointing towards that being the case.
Is this going to be a Path of Exile 1.5, a game similar to Diablo 4, Last Epoch, Torchlight Infinite, all the other current ARPGs in the market except No Rest for the Wicked? Or is it going to try and be truly distinct from Path of Exile 1 and these other ARPGs I just mentioned, including No Rest for the Wicked? We don't need combat nearly that slow.
It is not going to be never No Rest for the Wicked, and the people that are talking like, no, you want it to be No Rest for the Wicked. No, we don't want it to be No Rest for the Wicked. There is something in the middle, right? More towards the side of PoE1, but that it is still not as insane.
It gets kind of crazy at times. Players, including myself, who have talked to you directly are confused, even if they're having a blast in the game. It's obvious there's an identity crisis, and I think
this is true. We are having fun. We are enjoying it. We think the game is awesome. It is fun like it is. But it is obvious there is something weird. It is, yes, there is something that it is like you want this, but at the same time you want that, but you also want this, and these things don't match well together. What is what you truly want? It is like when you are talking with a girl and you get mixed signals. And sometimes she likes you and sometimes she hates you and you don't know what the fuck is going on. That is what happens with Path of Exile 2.
People just want to know what you think. I know people meet.
This is the duality of the community, by the way. Look at the comments. Look at the comments that my chat is giving me in the chat. One person says, GGG, make it less like PoE1. And immediately after, the other guy says, GGG, delete PoE2. There you have it. Imagine how hard it is for GGG to make the fucking game where you had these two extremes. These two opposite extremes. Right? It is not easy to please everybody, baby. It is not easy to please everybody. That is the duality of the Path of Exile player base.
On the vision, but I truly appreciate knowing the developer's vision. It's what made grinding your game so special. When I first started playing Path of Exile 1, those development posts were peak. So if it's going to become Path of Exile 1.5, okay, I think that's a mistake, especially with a dedicated Path of Exile 1 team and a huge player base for that game, but it'll just be good to know. And if it's going to become more distinct instead of more similar to Path of Exile 1 over time, I think that's great. Lower density, remove many rare monster modifiers, and have the focus become the monsters, not the monster mods. Focus on slowing progression and making it feel smoother from campaign acts 1 to 3 to 4 to 6 to early endgame to mid endgame and the end of endgame where you become a god, and make sweeping changes.
This smooth transition is important because this has had to have happened to you guys. That the hardest acts are Act 1 and 2. And the game continues to get easier and easier the more you progress. Which is weird. I understand it is because your character, you are finally getting a combo going, a build going, right? You are finally getting your synergies going. But at the same time, doesn't it make sense in games normally that the farther you go into the campaign, the harder the game should get? It is the other way around.
To the loot system, guys. Less loot, far less loot, but more coveted, useful loot.
I like that you get less loot but more valuable loot. The problem that people were complaining that there was not enough loot when 0.1 and 0.2 launched, they were correct, they were right. But it is because you drop only a few pieces of loot, and on top of that, the loot sucked. That is why people wanted more loot. Because if you are going to give me dog shit, give me more, so at least I have the possibility of getting something good. I don't know why you were so stingy with giving you good loot. Okay, give me less loot, but good loot. No, we are going to give you less loot and dog shit loot. Of course, nobody's going to like that shit. But apparently, they prefer to give you tons of loot and tons of dog shit loot. And then out of just pure annoying luck, sometimes you get something good. I think they don't like a few drops and then being good because that is too deterministic and that reduces the grind. I think that is the reason why they don't like it.
On the ground. Those are just a couple of examples. This is how Path of Exile 2 must take a stand. Do you agree?
I agree in a lot of things, and I also disagree in others. And not out of disagreement, but out of, I don't know what is the answer, right? It is an incognito, a question mark, an enigma. It is uncertain what the correct answer is. So I am withholding judgment, basically, in some things. Regarding what most people think PoE2 will be like PoE1 and carry on the flame and the soul. I do think, by the way, if you want my prediction, I do think the game will get more like PoE1. Like, you have three possibilities. The game gets faster, the game maintains the speed it has today, the game gets slower. What do you think out of these three possibilities is the most likely possibility? Like, let's rank them between the most likely to the less likely. I think it will get faster. That is the most likely. Maintaining the current speed is the second most likely. And the least likely one is getting slower. I will tell you right now, I don't think the game will ever get slower again. Unless they give you ruthless difficulty. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I a clown? Am I a genius? Let me know everything in the comments below. I love reading comments even when they don't agree with me. Also, remember to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, all that cool stuff. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. God bless you. And remember, don't be afraid ever.
Stop killing games. What started as a humble campaign that
Okay, guys, I have this video here from the awesome Crimson Cast that is called 10 3 changes I want in Path of Exile 2 0.5 patch. And this is honestly a pretty cool video because people are predicting what they want to see in PoE 2, but they are like bigger things, like, oh, the Delph, I want the Templar or the Delph mechanic or stuff like that.
What? Hello and welcome everyone. I am your host, Stefan Burns. Getting started for you right away with a live stream on this magnitude 7.4 earthquake that just struck Japan. This is a big event. This is one that we've been forecasting. Now, the specific location is not something that I forecasted, but in terms of there's something big happening during this time frame, 17th of April through the 23rd, with 420 being the critical day, we had it. 7.4 right off the coast. Now a megaquake warning has been issued by Japanese seismologists and the officials there, because they don't play around, okay? Like other countries and other societies, cultures, they have more of a lax attitude. Often they have a lax attitude with earthquakes and kind of gaslighting, you could say, the Japanese don't mess around. They've investigated into all the things which some people may consider not necessarily like scientifically valid. For example, being able to forecast earthquakes with Schumann resonances, Earth's naturally resonant energy fields. Some people think that's pseudoscience because they haven't researched into it and they simply don't even know what the
これは高台中高台なんですかね。立中です。これが18です。はい、一回海に出ましょう、沢泉さん。はい、了解です。これは回り込んだ方がいいんですか？それでお願いします。はい、回り込みますよ。入れます。ごめんなさい、もう一度お願いします。はい、聞こえてます。これか？これだ。これですね。はい。これは役場ですか？
Hey, Exiles, welcome to another episode of, it is the Still Sane podcast, but I think we're going to go for today with the Still Stalling podcast because we are 5 months into the lifespan of 0.4 and we have no news about 0.5. Unfortunately, I am here today with Miso Shiro to stall and discuss some interesting Path of Exile 2 vision questions. Miso, how you doing today, man?
Ooh, good. Just was streaming some PoE, playing my Spiral Volley Pathfinder on SSF, and having a good time. Just chilling with chat as usual. The homies, the real homies.
Very nice, very nice. And how is that build going so far? Blasting?
Good. Yeah, it's there was a little like survivability rise right now. It's kind of we're moving our way up to tier 15, and yeah. It's not quite like trade. I actually have never pushed a solo self-found character this far.
Okay.
So it's been a journey.
I think that I might try out solo self-found, but also hardcore for 0.5, just to give it a go, like an honest go. Not I'll play this until I die, and then I'll just swap over to trade. Because it really to just get, like you said, kind of that new gameplay feel, where everything matters a little bit more when it comes to items that you find, and you have to actually build defenses and everything in hardcore and like not die or you're not going to get any progress. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how far I get.
Yeah. This was the first time I ever played like hardcore solo self-found too, because I typically, not hardcore, regular solo self-found. I typically go and play hardcore solo self-found when I'm doing solo self-found.
Right. This was a little less stressful, essentially. You know,
yeah.
You can
yeah. I mean, I've definitely died quite a bit more than you would on hardcore solo self-found. Like a lot. Let's say a lot more.
Okay. Well, before we get into the vision talk, Miso, I have to ask you, how dare you release fake patch notes on April 1st? Like, what?